What's going on, everybody? This is MDENT313, and I'm back at y'all with another one. Listen, this kind of sparked my mind, right? Because both guys who are at 140 pounds have called out Jarron Boots Ennis, right? And I've been contemplating, what is it that they see in Jarron Ennis? I'm wondering, based on from a stylistic perspective, which guy have the biggest chance to beat Jarron Boots Ennis, and how ultimately I see a fight happening with those guys versus Jarron Ennis, right? Let me first start by saying this. I'm gonna start with Teofimo Lopez. What advantage Teofimo Lopez, in my opinion, or what attributes do we have that could potentially give Jarron Ennis a hard fight, right? The only thing I can really think of for Teofimo Lopez is Teofimo Lopez is explosive and he have power in both hands, right? He has decent movement, but his major asset and attribute in this particular fight, in my opinion, would be his explosiveness, right? How he utilizes explosiveness, when he utilizes his explosiveness, and will his power be enough to get Jarron Ennis respect, number one, and two, keep him at bay, right? We've seen Teofimo Lopez have extreme success with bigger guys such as Josh Taylor, right? Josh Taylor is a big guy, he's a physically strong guy, but the thing with that is I believe that Josh Taylor may have been drained and dry at the weight. I could be wrong, but that's my thinking. But he absolutely dominated Josh Taylor, right? In addition to that, he fought a guy in Vasil Lomachenko, he's not a big guy, but he's extremely fast, crafty, intelligent, and put a lot of mental pressure on you. So you do have to have a high IQ, some power and athleticism to, handle yourself with Vasil Lomachenko, right? The problem with Teofimo Lopez going against Jarron Ennis, from my point of view, outside of that, he don't really have no real advantages. He don't move better than Jarron Ennis. He don't have more power than Jarron Ennis. I don't think his defense is as good as Jarron Ennis. He don't have a better jab than Jarron Ennis. And he's not physically stronger than Jarron Ennis. Now he might have an edge in the speed department, and that's a might. When I say speed, I mean like as far as foot movement, right? Foot placement, foot movement, reflexes. He may have an advantage there, but I'm not for sure. But I do think it's some things that Teofimo Lopez can do that will at least keep Jarron Boots Ennis honest. But ultimately, I see Teofimo Lopez getting knocked out in that fight. Because Jarron Ennis' arms is pretty long. That guy got 74-inch arms. He's strong and he's explosive in his own right. And he has a high boxing IQ. I think he's a better boxer overall than Teofimo Lopez. Now, Jarron Ennis, he has good defense, but I don't think he has elite level defense. Now, I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me, but in my opinion, he don't have elite level defense. Solid defense, yes. Elite level, no. But I ultimately see Teofimo Lopez getting knocked out in that fight. But Teofimo Lopez do have a solid chin. I just think he won't be able to get around Jarron Ennis' jab. I don't think he'll be able to counter over the top. I don't think he'll be able to slip because Jarron Ennis have deceptively fast hands. I think the combination punching of Jarron Ennis will force Teofimo Lopez to be more stationary because he's not quite the mover that Devin Haney is, right? But Teofimo Lopez is a good fighter. Wouldn't mind seeing that fight, right? Now let's switch over to Devin Haney. What attributes do Devin Haney have? I think Devin Haney has a better jab than Jarron Ennis. I believe he's a lot faster than Jarron Ennis, and I believe Devin Haney's defense is a lot better than Jarron Ennis. I think even though Devin was cheating in that Ryan Garcia fight, Devin Haney did make some mistakes in there. And I think that the build up to that fight and the trash talking and the frustration of trying to get that fight may have gotten Devin Haney a little bit out of character. Right? And he fought the wrong fight. But I don't think that will happen to Devin Haney again. Now, at the same time, I do see Jarron Ennis, because when I looked at that fight with Karen Chuckerson, he was getting beat to the punch. He was getting countered over the top. Karen was running him into shots. He was getting off first on Jarron Ennis a lot of times, and he was physically strong enough to deal with Jarron Ennis in the clinches. And I think Devin Haney is a very underrated body puncher, right? Now, I think Devin Haney will give Jarron Ennis trouble, maybe the first 5 to 6 rounds. But I think the physicality of Jarron Ennis, I think his own body punching, and I think the fact that Devin Haney don't have as durable of a chin as either Teofimo Lopez or Karen Chuckerson, I think that, but he do have better defense than both of those guys, so this is kind of tricky. I can see Devin Haney getting hurt a couple times in this fight and getting into a safety first mode mid rounds and not being as offensive as he was in the beginning of the fight. And I see Jarron Ennis ultimately outboxing Devin Haney, and I see him winning that fight 8 rounds to 4, right? Now it's funny, right? Because Teofimo Lopez, because still at the same time, we never really seen Jarron Ennis get hit by a major puncher. And Teofimo Lopez, I will admit, at 35 was a major puncher. We seen him hurt. We seen both Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez hurt guys at 140. Because we seen Teofimo Lopez drop Josh Taylor a few times, and we seen Devin Haney drop Regis Prograis, who in my opinion have a more solid, durable, sturdy chin than Josh Taylor. But at the same time, Josh Taylor got a beard as well. So we seen him hurt guys at 140, but not often enough for me to feel confident that either guy can really do some significant damage to Jarron Ennis. And ultimately, we may be putting a little too much stock in the Karen Chuckerson fight, and we may be being a little too hard on Jarron Boots Ennis, because at the same time, it's kind of like what Terrence Crawford was going through when he was fighting guys like Mean Machine, Victor Postal, Felix Diaz. You know, he was fighting guys who Mean Machine, but he was fighting guys that were very, very solid to good fighters, but didn't have a big name. And when I look at the two fights with Jarron Ennis and Karen Chuckerson I think he would, for sure, I think he would beat Mario Barrios. I will put money he would beat Mario Barrios. Brian Norman Jr., I believe he will give Brian Norman Jr. an extremely difficult fight, but I'm not confident he'll beat him. And I also think he'll give Stanionis a hard fight. But from a stylistic perspective, I think Stanionis would knock out Karen Chuggins, and just because of the styles. I think that particular style give Jarron Ennis a difficult time, and the fact that Karen also had a solid chin and he had underrated boxing ability made that fight extremely difficult for Jarron Ennis, and he probably put a lot of pressure on himself to get the knockout as well. I don't think that did him any favors. But my opinion, I think Jarron Ennis will beat both guys, and I think both fights will be exciting. I think Devin Haney would have the best chance if he can avoid and or take Jarron Ennis his best punches, because I think from a stylistic perspective, Devin Haney can do a lot of damage and control, and he can do a lot of damage, and he can control distance, and he can gauge distance very well. And I think if he's able to put some 3s and 4s and some combinations together, he got a much more realistic shot at beating Jarron Ennis, in my opinion. I think Teofimo Lopez, I think he can box decent in spots, but I believe that Teofimo Lopez's best shot at beating Jarron Ennis would be to either catch him early, cold, or he would have to hit Jarron. He would have to probably catch him with a lucky punch somewhere to the mid to late rounds. I don't really see him from a boxing ability standpoint really doing too much, because he's not physically stronger. He's not a better body puncher. Teofimo Lopez, he don't really throw a lot of combinations. Like, they both will be good fights, because it's, I don't know, man. I just see Teofimo Lopez getting knocked out, honestly, man. But let me know what you guys think, man. When I watched Teofimo Lopez against Sandor Martin, and the trouble that he had with Sandor Martin's boxing ability, I think that would be a matchup nightmare for Teofimo Lopez. And then with Devin Haney, you also still have to wonder how will he come back after the damage that he took from Ryan Garcia. Is his punch resistance, will his punch resistance still be there? And if it is, and he's able to put together some combinations and some sharp, accurate counters, and utilize his jab effectively, like we've seen him utilize his jab strategically and effectively before, I think Devin Haney has a realistic shot at beating Jarron Ennis. But let me know what you guys think, man. I'm interested to hear what you got to say. Man, put it down in the comment section, man. Let's talk about it. Like, share, and subscribe.